Hi, everyone, and welcome to our Coping with Crisis series. We're specifically on the topic of anger, and we've been dealing with this for a couple weeks now. And again, it's a major topic. We want to flush it out because when we're dealing with crisis or problems, anger ends up being one of the number one things most people have to deal with. So I thought I'd camp out a little bit, drill down some more, and help folks with it because it is a major topic. We're all coping with problems and crisis. We're in one right now with the coronavirus thing where we're shut down, and now we have these race riots and all kinds of junk going on in our country. It's flat out anarchy, and it's really messing a lot of people up because they don't know how to emotionally handle it, how to even biblically understand it from different angles, and so it's tearing a lot of people up. And one of the things that's erupting is anger. And I'll tell you right now, it's not fun to watch people deconstruct our country. It's not fun to watch people badmouth our country. Our country's not perfect, but it's the best out there. And when these people tear it down, say it's systemically racist and all this other junk, it makes a lot of Christians, a lot of people angry when they give this false narrative. And so there's a lot of stuff coming out in this, obviously. So this is apropos for exactly what we're going through. Now, just to review what we've been through is we've understood that anger is tied to injustice. And we understood that it's tied to 6 different areas that we talked about that happened to us, whether it threatened our future, it threatened our value, it took away our rights, whatever somebody did. We went through about 6 different things. We lost something, and those are the core roots of where the anger is derived from, and the overarching idea is injustice. Injustice was done to us. Okay. That being the case, then we moved from there and we moved on to the rewards we get from anger. I know that sounds weird, but there's always a payoff for what we do. There's always pleasure in sin, according to the writer of Hebrews. And with that idea of pleasure in sin, that's why we do certain things, because we derive some type of reward, some type of escape, something it gives us back. That's why sin is so enticing. If it didn't have a reward in the sin, a temporary moment of pleasure or whatever that might be, it wouldn't be tempting to us. So anger becomes a major temptation because of the rewards it gives us. And we went through that last time. The rewards of when someone's angry, they feel like they're in control, or they can get back at somebody and they can manipulate the situation, or they can act passive aggressive, and it gives them that ability to fight back, to take revenge, all those kinds of things. And that's why people do it. That's why they do it. And so we talked about all the rewards. Okay, and we talked about the first thing you have to do is cut those rewards off. You cannot allow yourself to go into that direction, to allow yourself to be angry so you can experience those bad rewards. Now, they're good rewards to us, but they're bad. So for instance, if you allow yourself to get angry so that you can control others, that's bad. Anger is a good thing in many regards, and that you should be angry that abortion is happening. That you should be angry that the Judeo-Christian ethic here in America is under attack. You should be angry that the church is under attack. That's what the things you should be angry about, right? And you should funnel that anger in a proper way. But to get angry because your spouse is irritating you, and you say, you know what, I'm going to be passive aggressive here, and I'll get them 3 days later from now by not doing something for them or whatever. That's bad anger. But see, the reward is, well, I got revenge through the passive aggressive behavior. That's bad anger. But that's the rewards people get of trying to get back at people or whatnot. Okay. We talked about that we have to do radical amputation with that. Jesus said, if your right eye causes you to sin, cut it out. Right arm causes you to sin, cut it off. The idea is you cut off your ability to go to that reward. That's what you do. You cut it off. You don't allow yourself to go there. Okay? You can be angry, but like the Bible says, be angry and don't sin. So, things are going to make you mad in life, no doubt about that. Someone cuts you off, or you see what's happening in our society. Yes. But then the question then becomes, what are you going to do with that? how are you going to do? How are you going to express that anger? What are you going to allow in yourself? Now, here's what I want you to do. Here's a principle that I didn't give last time, but in regards to the reward aspect in anger, it's this. We want to think, this is how we typically want to think, that our feelings of anger come from outside of ourselves. That my spouse made me angry, or the society's making me angry, or these other things are making me angry. So that our feelings of anger come from outside of ourselves. That you'll hear people say, that person, you make me angry. Don't keep doing that because you're making me angry. And that's someone saying that something outside is affecting their feelings. But the truth of the matter, what the Bible is saying is no, your anger and your feelings of anger come from yourself internally. They come from our internal selves. They come from your soul. They come from your heart. They come from inside of you, not outside of you. Yes, outside things happen to you, but your feelings of anger come from within. And a lot of people won't own that. They will not own that. They think they're at the mercy of the outside world. So therefore, their world has to be perfect for them not to be angry. Okay? And that's how they start relating to reality. The world has to be perfect for me not to be angry. So if they see a long line at the grocery store, like we're starting to see in all these COVID-19 grocery stores that keep you 6 feet apart, and you see these long lines, you say, well, this makes me angry. Well, no, the anger is actually coming from inside of you. It's not the long line. The anger is coming from inside of you. You can't blame it on the store or the long line for your feeling of anger. It's coming from within you. And maybe something like that is making you angry because it's delaying your future plans or something like that. And I'm not talking about long-term plans. You got another appointment to go to or something, and this is delaying that. So you become angry because it's getting in your way of your plans. And that can happen short-term, and that, like we talked about last time, it can happen long-term if someone hurt you back then and messed up your future plans. But that's where it comes from. Okay. That being the case, what that means is that if our feelings of anger come from within ourselves, we are responsible for that. Okay, that's what that means. Putting the anger and the feelings outside of you is removing the responsibility. And you'll hear people say, well, that person just makes me so mad. Every time I see that person on TV, like when they see Nancy Pelosi talk on TV, they say, I can't stand Nancy Pelosi. She makes me so mad. She's so crazy, this and that. Wait a second. She's not really doing anything to you. It's you inside getting angry. You're responsible for that anger. And so, unfortunately, people suppose that they act angrily because of their emotions. Now think about this. But in fact, we allow these feelings or emotions because of what they allow us to do. Did you catch that? People, Christians, even Christians, suppose that they act angrily. Their actions are angry, right? Okay. Because of their emotions. They'll say, like, I can't control my emotions of anger. I fly off the handle and, it's this and that. And they'll say, I'm acting this way. I'm being rude to the checkout clerk at the grocery store because the line is long, so I'm going to be rude to the grocery clerk. And I just can't help it because this whole thing is making me mad. Okay? That's what they're saying because they actually blame their emotions. I just can't control my emotions. That's what they're saying. Okay? So when we're going inside, you can't blame your emotions. But really what is happening is we are allowing those emotions and feelings because of what that emotion or feeling allows us to do. What do you mean by that? What they allow us to do? Like I said again, anger, there's a reward in it. So if I act angrily in my behavior towards someone else, it does things for me. Like I said, I can intimidate, I can manipulate, I can force my way through things, I can back people off, I can be passive aggressive, I can take revenge. I can do a lot of things with my emotion if I use it that way, okay, for bad things. And so what you start realizing is you're in control of your emotions. You can be angry and not even show emotions, by the way. Some people do that. They're angry and they don't show emotions. So you are in full control of how you use those emotions. And so what we need to understand is, instead of searching outside for reasons for our anger, you have to look inward to what you and I believe. That's the big deal. You have to look to what you believe. See, because what you believe fuels your behavior. What you believe fuels why you go after the reward. It fuels everything. So when we come back to it, what you start seeing from the Bible is it is your belief that controls your behavior. Let me give you another bad example of how people misuse their anger. You see these people in these riots and protests that are going along in our world about police brutality of George Floyd, and then they've been hijacked and it's turned into an Antifa, Black Lives Matter, communist type of revolutionary movement. But anyway, as we saw with some of these rioters and protesters, many of them believe their anger gives them permission to do violence and steal. You saw a lot of violence. People were being killed, and nothing was done to these people. Then we see them looting and stealing from stores and ransacking stores. And they believe that this anger that they have against police brutality gives them permission to go do these things. They feel justified in doing criminal activity to satisfy the injustice they feel. Okay? So the anger they feel and the justification for violence is the fault of the other person, if you can see how they're interpreting things. It's the fault of the police. It's the fault of systemic racism. It's the fault of white people. It's them. It's making me angry, and I feel justified in using that anger to pay myself back, to exact justice by stealing and looting and killing. See, that's how it works. That's a bad example, but that's really how it works, even with us when we use it incorrectly. So basically, they are making themselves this way. They are acting this way because of a choice. Anger is a choice, and how to use that is a choice. It's not other people. They are generating the anger that is obviously ramping up to a level that runs the person purely on emotions and not through their thinking processes. To do things they wouldn't normally do or even would find unacceptable. But this explains or excuses their angry acts because, they feel they have a right to be this angry. And so they have ramped up their anger to where they don't even think anymore. They're running around like purely on emotions, like an animal. And because of that, they're doing horrific things. But again, they'll excuse it because someone else made them this way. Someone made them mad. So the point is, we're responsible for our anger. Okay, so we're responsible for what we believe, and that's where I want to drill down a little bit today. What do we really believe? Because that is what controls everything. Let me tell you a little something about what we believe. Satan has a great way of hiding what you and I believe. We may think we believe certain things, but your behavior, my behavior, will be the telltale sign of what we really believe. So always look to the behavior because it's correlated to our belief many times. So when you see that, hey, I can't control my anger, I'm just very angry, I'm an angry person and this and that, then it comes down to, okay, cut the rewards off, but then what is it that you really believe? What is it? And see, Satan hides this so you never figure it out. So you're always going to carry around this mantra, I'm always an angry person. I'm just angry, and never know the reason why. Therefore, even when you read the scriptures, you don't know how the scriptures will help you because you don't know what you believe. You don't know the truth because you're believing lies. And if you don't know that lie, you'll never get set free. So here's some of the lies we typically believe that causes anger in us, that causes us to use the emotion of anger in a negative way, in the wrong way. The first thing is this lie. This shouldn't have happened to me. Okay? A lot of people tell themselves, this shouldn't have happened to me. Now, there's a point of truth in that, but then there's a denial of reality in that statement. It's true. Bad things did happen to us. No doubt about it. And did God want that to happen to us? No. It theoretically shouldn't have happened in a perfect world. But what's the reality? We don't live in a perfect world. And so we have this idea of, yes, it's right. It shouldn't have happened, but it did. Because the world we're looking for does not exist until the next life. What the world we're looking for is the Messianic kingdom and eternity. And we only get the perfect world then, but we don't get it now. We're in a fallen world. And so in a fallen world, bad things happen to good people, okay? Things that shouldn't have happened did happen to people. Now, here's the deal. If you hold on to that and never give that other side of reality to bring that into your thinking, you will constantly go through life saying, this shouldn't have happened to me. Or, I mean, it'll be simple things like, I shouldn't be in a car jam right now. I shouldn't be stuck in traffic right now. I have places to go and things to do. It shouldn't be happening to me. Or whatever that might be, a lost relationship, a lost job. You'll keep saying, it shouldn't have happened to me. It shouldn't happen to me. If you keep that up, you will perpetually be angry all your life, because what you really should be saying is, yes, bad things happen to me. It actually should happen to me because of the fallen world I'm in. I should actually expect this to happen. And if you change your mindset, then all of a sudden you're in reality, and things like that won't make you mad or as mad, or give you the impetus to go act on that anger. Because what are your expectations? Do you really believe you're in a perfect world? Do you really believe that nothing should happen to you? That everything should go your way? Everything should just work out? All your plans should succeed? All your dreams should succeed? If you really believe that, you're in for a very bitter and angry life. And unfortunately, that's how a lot of Christians live. They're bitter and angry because this shouldn't be happening to me. They lose a spouse in death. This shouldn't be happening to me. What happens at that point? They get angry. Okay, but what world do you live in? Did God promise us in this life that you can live forever? No, He didn't. If we read Genesis, death happens. Dying, you shall die. Eventually, you will die. Now, we have the great hope of the rapture. Maybe we won't die. But at the end of the day, if the rapture is delayed and the Lord tarries, well, then we're all going to die at some point. It's 100%, right? And so when you see people die, yes, it's a shock. Yes, it's grieving. Yes, it's bad. But did you believe that someone's going to live forever? Do you believe that you're going to live forever? Believe it or not, there are actually people, Christians, that don't believe they're going to die. They think they're just going to live forever. And how do I know that? I see it in their behavior. So for instance, their adult kids will tell me, my mom and dad have not done anything as far as getting a will together. They have not done anything to settle their affairs so that if they die, things are put in order. And so when you see people not prepare for death, not get their affairs in order, not have a will or whatever, a trust or something like that, it indicates that the person really believes they're not going to die. That's not going to happen anytime soon. And then what happens? They inevitably die, and they leave their estate a mess for their kids and lawyers to clean up. Again, that's part of this. What is it that they believe? Another lie that folks believe is that this, whatever it is, this, fill in the blank, messed up my future. So whatever this is, it could be something that happened to the person in the past, in their childhood, teenage years, or in marriage or whatnot. Something happened to this person and it threatened their future. It messed up their future. It put them on a different path than what they wanted to be on. And so that person already is irritated by that. They forever hold that inside of them. That, my life could have been different had this happened, or whatever. And so they're perpetually angry that their future was messed up. And they're really, and in this life, they can't get back. They can't go back to their childhood. They can't go back to their teenage years. They can't go back to their 20s. And so they go perpetually that my life was messed up and there's no way of fixing this. And then what sets them off is that they start trying to rebuild another future for themselves, and then other people or other factors will come in, circumstances, and mess up their future plans again. And they'll say the same thing, my future is messed up because X, Y, and Z. And so they constantly go through anger all the time. This might be a lie that you believe. Again, I'm not saying this is what everyone believes. I'm just saying these are common things that people believe in general. So for instance, what does the Bible say about your future? What does the Bible say about your life? Well, your life is being directed by God through providence. That's the truth. And God is taking you to the best place that you need to be in. Now, he didn't cause all these things to happen to you, but he's using them to bring you to the place that you need to be. Did he know all these things would happen to you? Of course he did. And he plans to use them. And so at the end of the day, when you say my future is messed up, you have to understand your future is already known by God. He knows what is best for you and I and for our future. So therefore, we put our lives in his hands and we ask him to direct our lives to what he knows is best for us. You and I do not know what is best for us. We think we do, and we plan our future, and of course, not putting God in our plans, according to James, is going to get us really messed up. We should say if it's the Lord's will, according to James. But what happens then is we have these plans, and they get messed up, and so we're angry. Not realizing the truth is, your plans, my plans, are faulty. We do not know what's best for us spiritually. That's why when you see Acts 17, Paul will say that God has put everybody in a specific location on the planet Earth in a specific time in history so that they might seek him and might find him, though he's not far from any one of us. What was the point about our lives? Why did God create you at this time period and in this period of history and in this location on the planet? Why? So that you would have a relationship with him. It was the best chance for you to not only know him in salvation, but to grow with him and to be close to him. Any other scenario that you and I could have planned would have driven us further away from him. That's the idea. So where you're at, what you're doing right now is exactly where you need to be, because it puts you in a relationship that's closer than any other type of plan that you and I could have. And that's a truth that you and I have to acknowledge and accept. Another lie that a lot of people believe is that whatever happened to me crippled me. And not literally, but it crippled me emotionally, it crippled me mentally, it crippled me physically. It could be a number of different ways you want to interpret that. But that something happened to me and it crippled me. What do you mean by that? Well, I suffered severe trauma, and from now on, I have a fear of this, or I have a fear of that. And when these people are put in these scenarios, it makes them very angry to be put in a scenario that reminds them of being crippled or shows their problems, I guess, of being crippled. So for instance, when the biggest one that we can see in counseling is that a lot of people have been raped or molested, okay? And they obviously come out of that thinking they're crippled, and their view is skewed, and their view of the opposite sex becomes skewed, and therefore to be put with the opposite sex puts them in an angry position, because the opposite sex is the one who did this to them, who crippled them sexually or whatever that might be. And now to be put in a scenario with someone with the opposite sex who crippled them early on in life, their anger arises from that. Their anger is there. It's carried with them. And things like that remind them every time of being crippled. And so they feel handicapped in life, that they're not all they could have been had this not happened to them, is what their mentality is. And so they're crippled. They walk through life. And so you'll have people, say, hey, I hate men, or I hate women, or I hate church because I was burned at a church and it crippled me for what they did to me at a church. I'll never darken the door of a church again, or whatever the scenario is. People tease them growing up. They're badly ridiculed by people, and they feel that crippled them. So now what do? They spend their time alone, isolated from people, because they don't want to be around others. So they feel they're crippled. They can't really have normal relationships because they believe something about themselves that's not true. And so that crippling, though, gives them anger, because they wish they wouldn't be crippled. They wish they could be whole again. But is that the truth? No, it's not. It's a lie. For God says, I can redeem what the locusts have eaten. God can repair. God can heal. God can fix. God can straighten that which is bent. That God can take your brokenness and heal you. That's the truth. But these people who go through life, they feel crippled, and they walk and they use that many times as a crutch for why they don't do what they do. They use that as a crutch for why they are so angry about that. And unfortunately, folks, they're believing lies. It's not true. No matter what you and I have went through, those things can be overcome through Christ. Christ can give us the victory if you will allow Christ to work with you in that area. The problem is most crippled people, spiritually crippled, don't want Christ poking around down there. They actually don't want him to poke around there because they actually enjoy the anger they feel, and they actually get a reward for feeling angry because it gives them empowerment, and it somehow protects them, because if they can project anger to other people, it keeps people away from them, particularly the opposite sex. So they'll project out, I'm angry, don't mess with me. It's actually a defensive mechanism that comes from being crippled. So they're protecting something. So see, that's why they don't want to give it up. If they had to give up their anger, they would have no defense mechanisms in their mind. But really what Christ wants to do is he wants to heal that area, and he wants you to be strong in the truth, not in a lie. But people, unfortunately, prefer to live in lies. The other lie that a lot of people believe, and it's, again, this may not be you, but it's very common, is that whatever happened to me in my life ended up determining my worth and value. So a lot of people believe that whatever happened to them made them damaged goods, okay, or that they are damaged goods. Okay, so for instance, if a child doesn't give the proper love and affection from their parents, and they're neglected, ignored, or beaten, or there's physical things happening to them, or just simply neglect. It could be one of the extremes: neglect, or hurting physically the child, emotionally damaging the child, spiritually damaging the child, whatever it might be. It ends up being interpreted by that person as, I have no worth, I have no value. Because why would these people treat me this way if I was valuable? So it's our way of interpreting what's happening, but we're interpreting incorrectly what's happening to us. We're internalizing it and making it about us when it's actually not about us. It's about selfish people. It's about sinful people doing bad things. But yet we internalize that as, I guess I'm not of value because why would my parents do this to me? Or why would my coach do this to me? Or why would my boyfriend or girlfriend do this to me? Why would my spouse do this to me? Why would my own kids do this to me? And so we interpret it as that there must be something wrong with me. I don't have any value. I don't have any worth. And so guess what? If you believe that and you carry that through life, it's going to make you very angry. Because you're going to expect a certain type of behavior being given to you from other people. And I can tell you this, they're not going to give you what you want, and you're going to be very angry at other folks because they're not giving you exactly what you need, which you should have got a long time ago. Other people cannot be your dad. Other people cannot be your mom from your childhood. And to look to other people for that is a huge mistake. Because other people cannot parent you. You're a grown adult, and if you expect others to parent you, you're going to be very angry. And this is why people start relationships and say, well, that relationship doesn't help me in any way because, I'm not getting what I need out of them. Well, unfortunately, they want to be parented. That's what they're not getting. And so, again, they pull off from the relationship, and then they go back to their lie. I guess I am not valuable or worthy enough because I keep getting people that won't give me what I want. And that becomes a problem. And then they move into performance. So because they believe this, they say, well, I'll prove to people that I'm valuable and worthy, and I'll do it through my performance. I'll perform for other people. And in order to perform, it takes a lot of energy. They do it at work, they do it in their family, they'll try to perform for whoever they're trying to please. And that performance is protecting what they really feel about themselves. They will perform, and if you give them praise and honor for that performance, they'll feel good because that's the front. But behind them is a person who doesn't feel of any value. And that's a lie too. So both aspects are a lie. The front's a lie, and how they really feel about themselves is a lie. But that's what people turn to. They turn to performance to prove their value. So guess what? If someone judges them on their performance, they get angry because you're attacking the very thing that's protecting their self-identity. So they will rear up. These types of people are uncorrectable. These type of people work for you, and you can't tell them anything without them blowing a gasket, without them either getting angry and stomping off or going into severe depression for you suggesting that, hey, you change something about their work or whatnot, or even a spouse that you can't say anything to because they just fall apart or they go enraged if you would even suggest that they do something different. See, the problem is you're attacking their performance, and that performance is their lifeblood. They have to keep that up in order to gain acceptance. So that's why they're always angry. And here's the deal. That anger never goes away because they keep raising the bar on their performance. They got to do more, And what happens is they can't reach that bar, so they become frustrated with themselves. A lot of times they're angry with themselves for not keeping their own standard. They always will fall short, and they become defeated. And that defeated feeling makes them angry inside. So that's why when you talk to them, they might be on edge because they're not even keeping up their own standards. And that could be any standard. Cleaning the house or whatever, having things in order, whatever it is, doing well on the job, whatever it is. And that makes them very angry. But what's the truth? What's the truth for that? Your worth, your value is not based on what people did to you, nor is it based on your performance. The Bible says your worth and value are because of two major things. First, you're made in the image of God. Because of that, you have value. And so much value that Christ has died for you. Now, that right there, that shows you that you and I are so valuable, so loved by God, and He wants us back in relationship with Him, that His Son was willing to go on the cross and die for you and I. Those two things right there should be enough for our value. That's where we get our value. But as you know, the Bible goes on more and more and tells you all the blessings that God gives to His people, which He lavishes His love on us and shows you how much He values us. He's prepared a wonderful future for us. He prepared the New Jerusalem. He prepares the kingdom age and all of these other rewards that He's going to give us. He's going to give us new bodies, and all of these things indicate to us, wait a second, you are extremely valuable, intrinsically valuable, and you are well loved by the Lord. So we're not to base our worth and our value based on the things we do or the things that happen to us. We're to base it on the truth of the Word of God. And that's how you break free from that anger, from feeling worthless or devalued, or I feel messed up or something like that, or something wrong with me. Anyway, I'm going to continue this because I'm going to go through other lies that not only do we say about ourselves, but we say about God, we say about other people, we say about reality. And again, these are lies in general that people typically or generally believe. It may not be yours, but what I'm trying to show you is your anger is coming from a lie you believe. Your anger is rooted in that. You and I misinterpreted what was happening, and we made it about ourselves. We personalized it, and now because we've personalized it, it's pervasive through all of our lives. It pervades everything we do, everything we touch, and then we have made it permanent. When it's pervasive, when it's personal, then you make it permanent means that we have no hope of change. And when you have no hope of change, you get very bitter and very angry if there's no hope of change. See, those are all lies that we believe. We'll talk more about it next time. So that brings us to a conclusion today. Again, we will do one of these once a week, so watch us next time as we go into the other general lies that people believe that cause anger. And we'll post that every once a week. So be looking for that. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the little bell, and that will alert you when we upload a new teaching on this. But anyway, continue to study, continue to dig down, and ask the Lord, Lord, reveal to me the lies I believe, and guaranteed He will. Okay? So we'll see you next time, okay?